All right, 7:45. Welcome into Acadiana's Morning News. Hey, it is our regular weekly date with Jackie Russo. 7:45 on a Monday morning, and you got to be happy. I mean, it wasn't the best weekend for the baseball Cajuns.
Softball, though.
But softball more than made up for it.
You know, it's the great thing about being a Cajuns fan. I may not have a successful weekend in every sport, but there's always one sport that's going to come through.
Yes.
And softball showed up.
It's like, every once in a while you just need to say, did you see what golf did this weekend?
Exactly.
Did you see what they...
Thank God for the ski team.
Yeah, exactly. Some good news there, of course. Looked like it was another busy weekend for you.
Well, it was just a lot of baseball. Luckily for UL, we enjoyed that. Now that Berkman's is done, having won the state title, my own personal baseball team is, at rest. And so now I can go support the college kids.
My private baseball team.
Yes.
I get them together once a week just so I can watch them play.
Dance, monkey, dance.
So, all right. I've been wanting to ask you about this, and we had a couple of days off. What do you make of this whole latest airline situation? Now, my first thought every time I see a video posted of something going wrong on board a plane is, oh gosh, why? I mean, you have to post another video of this happening. Not that I'm taking up for the airline, but I mean, at some point you almost want to say, like, are you just taking advantage of the situation? Then I take a step back and say, no, because it's the only way these people are getting anything out of it. If these families, like the one who got kicked off the plane last week, the family of 4, because a 2-year-old had its own seat, had his own seat, which the parents paid for, was being bumped in favor of a standby passenger to come on. If they would have just said, okay, got up and walked to the counter, do you think they would have even been given a second look? No. And so now we're in a situation where, more different than reviews, it's almost like a live review. It's almost like an as it happens review, because they're able to go on there and say, look what's happening, Delta. Is this really what you want? What do you make of this whole thing, and do you think that the industry will change because of it?
I think the industry is going to have to change, and it's only going to change because of light being shed upon it. So we all have had bad experiences with airlines. I had a horrible experience coming back from D.C. Last week. Mm-hmm. A gate agent was ridiculously rude, and as a matter of fact, all I did was ask to get on the 6 o'clock flight instead of the 8 o'clock flight. That's it. I just said, the 6 o'clock seems to be half full. Mm-hmm. The 8 o'clock is overbooked. Can I move up?
Right.
And he said, well, you have to pay $200 change fee and the difference in the flight, and was just a jerk about it. Like, total attitude, no customer service, total power trip. Mm-hmm. And so as I walked away, I said, this is ridiculous. This is why people don't like y'all. As I walked to my seat. Okay? So he left the gate. He's checking people in for the 6 o'clock flight, leaves his gate and literally runs to the other side where all the seats are to accost me. He gets in my face with his little pointy finger and says, I heard what you said. I'm going to find out who you are, and I'm going to turn you in. I said, well, my name's Jackie Russo.
Yes.
You don't have to search far to find out who I am. Who? And turn me into who. And so I said, sir, I think those people need you to check them on the flight. Don't tell me how to do my job. And 5 people had their cameras out.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And I thought, this would have gone so much further had he not looked up. And I mean, he was red in the face, spittle flying, but he realized he was on video. And so all of a sudden he had to, take a step back, go back and do his job. So luckily for me, he was also the guy checking us in for my flight. I waited for me to all of a sudden not have a seat. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I walked on, he got in my face again.
That would have been the perfect opportunity to say, ma'am, I'm so sorry.
Oh, he was not.
It's so stressful. Well, I know he wasn't gonna, but you see, that's the opportunity.
But that's good customer service.
Right.
And there's businesses in every industry, in every category, that have forgotten how important customer service is. Mm-hmm. And that whole theory of we serve at the pleasure of the people who pay us has lost its power.
But think about this. I mean, you've worked in business forever.
Hopefully, I still do.
Yeah. It won't be for an airline. Hopefully, you weren't counting on that.
No.
So many people, just the going the extra mile thing, I feel like is just lost.
Mm-hmm. Okay? It absolutely is.
Because there are so many, I know in this business, okay, there are so many things. If you come in here and you tell us what you need and you ask, we're not going to give you a pass on tough questions, but if you need a copy of an interview while we're recording it, and that sort of thing, we can do. It's just kind of like going the extra mile, and that's lost by
The old adages are still true today. And so the adage that you can catch more with honey than vinegar, I mean, that is customer service 101. And what I think is happening with the airlines is that because people are videoing it, it no longer is my word against his. It is absolutely proof. And the court of public opinion is allowed to weigh in, which is going to cause a change in business. People are going to have to start handling their business differently.
I did think it was funny. The last time we went over to Europe, we flew Air Canada there and United back. And the just exact polar opposite in terms of service. And Air Canada flies to New Orleans, so we flew it the whole time. New Orleans to Toronto to London. And we were like, this is just such a great experience. Everyone is so nice. And looking into it a little bit more, it's like, no, because that's the culture there.
Right.
They would be out of business if they treated people like, our airlines treat people, you know. So it's unfortunate, but it all comes back. If you really care about your brand, which is what we talk about every Monday morning, why not be known? Like, I'll tell you this. I know that I have a love fest with Southwest. We've talked about this so many times. But, every time there's some wrinkle in a customer service problem, they go out of their way to say it's worth it to not make the extra money off of bags.
That's their corporate culture.
Just so they could say, we don't do bags. And what was the other? Oh, they're not going to overbook anymore. They said we're phasing out the process of overbooking by, I think, June or something, because so many flights had been booked before. But just by saying, and you could not even make a change, because people a lot of times don't even know how they do it. Right. How come I look for a seat and I can't get an assigned seat on a flight? It's because it's overbooked.
Always.
And so by setting yourself apart from your competition, by saying, you know what, this is something y'all hate them for doing, we're not going to do it anymore.
But it's that corporate culture has been in place forever. Southwest has always gone the extra mile and kept their rates low and been fun and nice to be around. And so people are attracted to them like a magnet, as opposed to United and American and Delta, who keep screwing it up. And so people are fleeing from them as best they can. And that's what's going to continue to happen. And every business needs to look around and think, what am I doing in my business to go the extra mile, to be kinder, to find a way to treat my customers better? And it's not letting them walk all over you or take advantage of you, but it's finding those little ways. You may save some pennies by getting money on baggage, but you're going to lose pounds by not having more people fly you because you're being a cheapskate, because you're overbooking. Yes, the law may allow you to sell more inventory than you actually have, but that doesn't make it right. And so
not when everyone shows up.
Right. Which they do.
Then you have like 10 people who you've made mad unnecessarily.
Right. Well, and now that United's up the number to 10,000 for being bumped, all of a sudden it's going to start costing you a lot more
It's just going to be
overbooking. And so you've got to build your business based on a brand that is putting the customer first. And so it's interesting to me when I see sometimes nonprofit organizations, schools, restaurants, other businesses who aren't following these rules, and they're not focusing on the customer, and they're going to lose customers because of it.
What are you talking about on today's blog?
Today we're talking about Facebook and the algorithm and how to get your post for your business to be closer to the top of the newsfeed.
Is still your theory just be vary what you do? Don't do any kind of pattern? Switch it up?
You got to switch it up because your customers, your target audience, they're switching it up. And so you need to be where they are when they are. The best advice, don't worry about the algorithm. Don't pay attention to the rules and the science of it. Just post things that are engaging and interesting and that people want to read and share.
Just be relevant.
Yeah.
Just be relevant. Jackie Russo, we will post the blog over on our website, kpel965.com, along with this interview.
And a link to our podcast.
Oh, yeah. Still going well?
Still going well.
They're good little pops, Bernie. Some podcasts, you download them and you're invested for an hour. And you're like, I don't have an hour. Like me in the morning. Right. When I have no traffic or red lights from my house to here, I drive in the car for 7 minutes. It's 47 in the afternoon, but it's 7 on the way in. I want quick. Right. I want quick info that I can, take and use. Because, my brother is less than a year into a new small business, and it was one of my first assignments. You just need to listen to them. Yes. You don't have to do everything. You have to, and I've told you, his big thing, it's land, it's an alternative to using a bulldozer to clearing land. Okay, this is his business. And whenever he listened to one, and he called me and he said, I kind of had a slow week. No one booked, so I called 4 commercial developers who have prime real estate for sale and asked if I could clear the first 20 feet. And so I'm like, That's a great idea. So he goes, and they told me I could put my signs up too. So now he has prime real estate, free billboards on land he cleared. It's free, but it's not really, ultimately they're paying him because what else was he doing? Going to watch Judge Judy at home if he wasn't working?
Right.
Has been so succerfs so thanks for your...
They're all under 10 minutes. Under 10 minutes. It's a quick little brand pop for your day.
Hey, just a quick preview. Next week, Bernie and I are going to be doing an after the show. The 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock hour, we're going to be filling in for Carol Ross, and we're going to have a variety of guests. And our guest for the first show will be Jackie Russo. So we'll have a lot of tough questions ready.
A whole hour. I can't wait.
And I don't know if Lafayette Radio will ever be the same.
The show after the show.
Yeah.
I'm going to need that list of FCC words I can't say.
We'll post them. Look, we have a free space on the wall.
That might be a really good idea,
just
to keep us all out of jail.
All right, 7:55.
George Carlin. There you go.
Exactly.
We're back after this.